The shovel struck the hard earth with a dull, heavy sound. Under the blazing afternoon sun, a woman knelt beside a freshly sealed grave, her knees sinking into loose red soil. Sweat ran down her face, mixing with tears she did not bother to wipe away. Her hands shook not from grief but from urgency. Each time the shovel went down, it was as if she was fighting time itself. People passed on the narrow road beside the cemetery, some slowing down, others stopping completely. A few gasped. A woman digging up a grave in broad daylight was not something anyone saw every day. The name on the headstone read, Marcus Cole. Husband beloved gone too soon. The woman digging was Naomi Cole, his wife of 3 years. Her eyes were fixed on one thing and one thing alone, the spot where his left hand would be, buried beneath wood and soil. That was where the diamond ring was, the ring everyone admired, the ring worth more than most people's houses. Naomi dug faster. Her breathing grew sharp and uneven as the wooden coffin edge finally appeared. She dropped the shovel and used her bare hands, clawing at the dirt like an animal driven by hunger. Her fingers bled, but she did not stop. Behind a large mango tree, just far enough to remain unseen, a man stood frozen. He was alive. Marcus Cole watched his own grave being opened. His heart pounded so hard he felt dizzy, his legs trembled, threatening to give way. This was not what he expected, this was not what he planned. He had staged his death to see grief, to see love, to see loss. Instead, he was watching his wife dig up his grave to steal his ring. A sharp pain pierced his chest, not from the injuries he pretended to have in the car accident but from something deeper, something colder. Naomi reached the coffin lid. Her hands paused for just a second. She glanced around, checking if anyone was watching. Seeing only a few curious faces at a distance, she lowered her voice and whispered, "I'm sorry, Marcus, you won't need it where you are." With shaking hands, she forced the lid open. Marcus turned away, unable to watch any further. And that was the moment everything changed. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus Cole had been declared dead. The news shook the city. Marcus was not just any man. He was known, quietly wealthy, careful with his money, never loud about his success. He owned several transport businesses across 2 states, but he dressed like an average man and lived modestly. Many people never knew just how rich he was until after his death. The accident was reported as brutal, a late-night crash on a lonely highway. His car was found mangled beyond recognition, burned badly enough that identification required personal items. Among those items was his diamond ring. Or so everyone thought. The funeral was crowded, business partners came, distant relatives cried loudly. Naomi wore black and collapsed dramatically into the arms of others more than once. She screamed his name, fainted twice, and refused to leave the graveside. People whispered, "She loved him. She is broken." Marcus, watching from a hidden place that day, believed it too. He had planned everything carefully. The fake accident, the burned vehicle, the bribed officials, the closed casket burial. It had cost him a lot, but he wanted the truth more than money. He wanted to know one thing: did Naomi love him for who he was or for what he had? The doubts had not come from nowhere. Small things had added up over time. Naomi asking more questions about his finances. Naomi becoming distant when he refused to upgrade their lifestyle. Naomi showing more interest in his ring than in his health whenever he complained of chest pains. Still, he loved her, and love made him hopeful, blind even. So he staged his death. The first week after the funeral, Marcus stayed hidden in a small apartment far from the city. He watched quietly, he listened through trusted contacts, he waited. At first, Naomi cried every day. She wore black, she refused visitors, she posted long messages about loss and heartbreak. People praised her strength, women admired her devotion. Marcus felt relief. Then the second week came. The tears slowed. The visitors stopped being turned away. Then came the phone calls. Late at night. Long conversations in hushed tones. Marcus told himself he was overthinking. Grief affected people differently, everyone healed at their own pace. But something else disturbed him. The ring. Naomi kept asking about it. She called the funeral director twice, asking if the ring had been buried with Marcus. She went to the cemetery office more than once, pretending she wanted to sit with her husband's spirit. Marcus felt uneasy. Still, he did not expect this. He did not expect to be standing behind a tree, alive, watching his wife dig up his grave like a thief. As Naomi's hands reached into the coffin, murmurs rose from the onlookers. What is she doing? Is she mad? Someone stop her. Naomi ignored them all. Her fingers finally touched cold skin. She gasped softly, not in sorrow but in relief. There you are, she whispered. She grabbed his left hand and pulled it up just enough to see the ring. The diamond caught the sunlight and sparkled. Naomi smiled. That smile broke something inside Marcus. He stepped forward without thinking. The dry leaves crunched beneath his feet. Naomi froze. Slowly she turned her head. Her eyes met his. The shovel slipped from her hands. The ring fell back into the coffin. Her face drained of color as if she had seen a ghost. Marcus stood there breathing heavily, his eyes red, his voice low and shaking. Naomi, he said, is this how you mourn me? A scream tore from her throat. She staggered backward, falling into the dirt beside the grave. You're dead, she stammered. They said you died. Marcus took another step forward, tears finally escaping his eyes. I died to see the truth, he said, and now I have. The crowd gasped, some people ran, others stood frozen in shock. Naomi crawled backward, shaking her head over and over. This is not real, this is not real. Marcus looked down at the open grave, at the disturbed coffin, at the ring glinting in the sun. His voice dropped to a whisper filled with pain. I wanted to know if you loved me, he said, but I never imagined I would find you here digging my grave for money. Naomi burst into tears, not of grief but of fear. And as sirens echoed faintly in the distance, Marcus realized something terrifying. Staging his death had revealed the truth. But the truth had opened a door that could never be closed. And the consequences were only just beginning. The cemetery was no longer quiet. Voices rose in panic and disbelief. Some people backed away slowly, making the sign of the cross. Others pulled out their phones with shaking hands. A few shouted Marcus's name, unsure whether to run or kneel. Naomi was still on the ground, her back pressed against the disturbed soil, her clothes stained red-brown. Her eyes were wide and wild, locked on the man she believed was buried 3 feet below her moments ago. You're dead, she kept repeating, her voice cracking. You died in that accident, I saw the pictures, I cried for you, I buried you. Marcus swallowed hard, every word felt heavy in his chest. I never died, he said. I watched my own burial, I watched you cry, and now I've watched this. He pointed at the open coffin. Silence followed, thick and suffocating. An elderly woman from the neighborhood stepped forward slowly. Marcus, is this true, you're alive? Marcus nodded once. Yes, Mama Ruth, I am alive. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Naomi suddenly pushed herself up, her fear turning sharp, defensive. This is your fault, she shouted, pointing at Marcus. You staged your death, you traumatized me, you made me this way. Marcus stared at her stunned. I made you dig my grave. Her mouth opened then closed, she struggled to find words. I was desperate, she said quickly. I have debts, you left me with nothing, people were calling me, I needed help, that ring was the only thing I had left of you. Marcus shook his head slowly. That ring was on my finger while you said vows to love me, it was never yours to steal. Steal, Naomi screamed, I was your wife. You were my wife, Marcus corrected softly, and that's why this hurts. Sirens grew louder now, someone must have called the police. Marcus took a step back, suddenly feeling exposed. He had planned to reveal himself privately, quietly, after gathering enough proof. He had not planned for a public scene, for officers, for cameras. But it was too late. 2 police vehicles pulled up at the edge of the cemetery, dust rising behind them. Officers stepped out, confusion written on their faces as they took in the scene, the open grave, the shaken crowd. The woman covered in dirt, and the man who was supposed to be dead. What is going on here? One officer demanded. People began talking all at once. She dug the grave. He's alive. It's her husband. He faked his death. The officer raised his hand, one at a time. Marcus stepped forward. "Officer, my name is Marcus Cole. I staged my death. I am alive." The officer blinked. You're listed as deceased." "I know," Marcus said, "and I will explain everything." Naomi grabbed the officer's sleeve desperately. "He's lying. This is some kind of trick. He's trying to ruin me." The officer gently removed her hand. "Ma'am, calm down." Another officer approached the open coffin and looked inside. He exhaled sharply. "Sir, you understand this is a serious crime, fake death, fraud, public disturbance." Marcus nodded. "I understand. I am ready to take responsibility." Naomi stared at him shocked. "You planned all this, you planned to watch me suffer." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. "No," he said quietly. "I plan to watch you grieve, I plan to watch you heal, I plan to come back and rebuild our life." His voice hardened. "I did not plan to watch you dig me up for jewelry." Naomi burst into loud sobs, attracting more attention. "You abandoned me, you left me alone." "You were never alone," Marcus said. "You had the house, you had my accounts monitored by my lawyers, you had time." "And no money," she snapped. That was when Marcus finally understood. It was never love. The officers separated them. Naomi was led a few steps away, wrapped in a blanket someone brought. Marcus was taken aside, questioned carefully. His story spilled out the doubts, the plan, the accident staging, the hidden apartment. As he spoke, his voice broke more than once. "I just wanted to know the truth," he said. "I didn't know it would destroy everything." The officer sighed. "Sometimes the truth does." By evening, the crowd had dispersed. The grave was covered again. The ring was removed as evidence. Naomi was taken away for questioning, her earlier confidence completely gone. Marcus sat alone on a low concrete slab near the cemetery gate, his head in his hands. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows. He had his answer now. But knowing the truth did not bring peace. It brought emptiness. A few days later, Marcus's resurrection was all over the city. People argued over who was wrong and who was right. Some praised him for being smart, others called him cruel. Naomi became a subject of gossip overnight. Marcus retreated again, this time not to hide but to think. He remembered the early days with Naomi, her laughter, her gentleness, the way she used to sit beside him when he worked late. Had that ever been real, or had he imagined it because he wanted it to be? One evening, his lawyer visited him. "She's demanding a share of your property," the lawyer said. "She claims emotional damage and abandonment." Marcus let out a bitter laugh. "After digging my grave." The lawyer hesitated. "There's more. She says she never knew you were wealthy until after your death. She claims she was tricked into poverty." Marcus closed his eyes. So the battle had begun. But what Marcus did not know was this. Naomi was not done yet. And the next move she would make would shock him far more than the grave ever did. Naomi did not sleep that night. She sat on the narrow bed in the small room the police allowed her to stay in, staring at the wall like someone waiting for judgment. Her eyes were swollen, her throat dry, but her mind was racing faster than ever. Fear had slowly changed into anger. By morning, anger turned into calculation. Naomi was not a weak woman. She had survived a hard childhood, jumped from one struggle to another, and learned early that life only rewarded those who acted fast. Love to her was something that came after safety, after money, after survival. And now Marcus had humiliated her. He had made her the laughing stock of the city. "He wanted the truth," she muttered to herself. "I will give him my own truth." 2 days later, Marcus received a call from his lawyer. "She's filing a formal complaint," the lawyer said. "She's accusing you of emotional abuse, fraud, and psychological torture." Marcus leaned back in his chair, exhaustion etched into his face. "I expected that." "There's more," the lawyer continued. "She's also claiming that you staged the death to trap her and that the grave incident was a setup." Marcus went silent. "She's saying you planted the ring story to ruin her image," the lawyer added. "She's playing the victim." Marcus closed his eyes slowly. He felt tired in a way sleep could not fix. "Let her talk," he said. "The truth is the truth." But the truth, Marcus was learning, could be twisted. Naomi began her campaign carefully. She dressed modestly, she spoke softly in interviews, she cried at the right moments. She told people Marcus was a manipulative man who enjoyed control. She said she loved him deeply and that digging the grave was an act of emotional confusion, not greed. He left me nothing, she told a small group of women at a community center. I lost my husband and my mind that day. Some people believed her. Others did not. Social media became a battlefield. Clips of Naomi crying were shared everywhere. Old photos of Marcus smiling quietly were now paired with captions calling him heartless, cruel, wicked. Marcus stayed silent. That silence, however, came at a cost. One afternoon, Marcus decided to visit the house he once shared with Naomi. He had avoided it since the incident, but he needed documents stored there. He arrived quietly, hoping Naomi was not around. He was wrong. Naomi was there. She stood in the living room dressed in white, looking calm, too calm. So you came back, she said softly. Marcus froze. I should have called. She smiled faintly. You never liked calling. That smile felt unfamiliar now. I just came for my documents, Marcus said. I won't stay long. Naomi nodded, of course. As Marcus moved toward his study, Naomi spoke again. Do you know what hurt me the most? She asked. Marcus stopped but did not turn around. You didn't trust me, she said, not enough to ask me directly, you chose death instead. Marcus finally turned to face her. Trust goes both ways, Naomi. Her eyes darkened. Then why did you marry me? The question landed hard. Marcus hesitated. Because I loved you. Naomi laughed softly, a sound with no warmth in it. Love doesn't fake coffins. She stepped closer. You wanted to test me, now I'm testing you. Marcus felt a chill. What do you mean? Naomi leaned in, her voice low. Let's see how strong you are when everyone believes I'm the victim. She walked past him and left the room. That night, Marcus received another call. She's filed for divorce, the lawyer said, and she's asking for half of everything. Marcus exhaled slowly. And the evidence? We have witnesses, the lawyer replied. The grave, the ring, the cemetery. But public opinion is shifting, he added. She's playing this very well. Marcus stared at the dark window. He had wanted the truth. Now the truth was costing him everything. A week later, Naomi made her boldest move yet. She accused Marcus of attempting to kill her. The claim stunned everyone. According to her story, Marcus had staged his death not just to test her but to scare her into obedience. She said he planned to return slowly, control her, and isolate her from help. Marcus was summoned for questioning. Sitting in the police station again, Marcus felt something he had not felt in a long time. Fear. Not fear of prison. Fear that lies told well enough could bury the truth deeper than any grave. As he left the station that evening, a reporter shouted, Mr. Cole, was your wife ever safe with you? Marcus did not answer. He walked away knowing one thing for sure. Naomi was no longer just reacting. She was attacking. And if he did not act soon, the man who once faked his death might lose his life in a very different way. Marcus knew he could not stay quiet anymore. Silence had allowed Naomi's story to grow legs and walk freely. Every day, a new version of the truth appeared in public, and none of them favored him. Some people still believed Naomi was greedy. Others believed Marcus was cruel. Many were simply confused. Confusion, Marcus learned, was dangerous. He met with his lawyer early one morning in a quiet office on the edge of the city. You need to speak, the lawyer said plainly, not emotionally, factually. Marcus nodded. I don't want revenge, I just want the truth known. The truth needs proof, the lawyer replied, and you have more than you think. That was when Marcus was shown something unexpected. Security footage. Weeks before the grave incident. Cameras near the cemetery had captured Naomi visiting late at night. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Each visit she stood near Marcus's grave looking around, sometimes talking on her phone. Then there were phone records. Calls to a private buyer who dealt in precious stones. Then messages. I need it fast. He won't need it anymore. I'll get it soon. Marcus felt sick as he read them. This was no moment of confusion. This was planning. The lawyer leaned forward. If we release this carefully, her story falls apart. Marcus took a deep breath. Do it. The footage was released the next day. The city reacted instantly. People saw Naomi standing at the grave days before she dug it up. They heard the audio of her calls, they read the messages, the sympathy she had built cracked like dry glass. Radio shows debated it. Was she grieving or scheming? Social media changed tone. She planned it. She wanted the ring all along. She played the victim too well. Naomi noticed immediately. She stormed into her lawyer's office furious. You said they had nothing. Her lawyer sighed, they had more than we thought. Naomi paced the room, breathing hard, then we changed the angle. How, the lawyer asked. She stopped and smiled slowly, we say he forced me. The next interview Naomi gave shocked everyone. She claimed Marcus had been emotionally abusive throughout the marriage. She said he controlled money, decisions, and movement. She said digging the grave was something she did under years of pressure and fear. I was not thinking clearly, she said on camera, eyes wet. I lived in fear. Marcus watched the interview from his apartment. His hands shook. That's not true, he whispered to the empty room. But lies, once released, did not need truth to survive. That night, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. It was his older sister, Denise. She had always been protective, strong, straightforward. She sat across from him and studied his face. You look tired. I am, Marcus said. She leaned back, I warned you. He nodded, I know. Denise folded her arms, testing people never ends well. Marcus did not argue, I loved her. Denise softened, I believe you. Her voice turned serious, but love doesn't mean you destroy yourself to prove it. Marcus looked down, what do I do now? You finish it, Denise said, clean, clear, honest. The next step came faster than Marcus expected. Naomi violated a court instruction. She attempted to access Marcus's frozen accounts using old authorization papers. The bank flagged it. Authorities took notice. For the first time, Naomi was no longer just accusing. She was being accused. She was called in for questioning again. This time her confidence was gone. The officer placed the documents in front of her. These messages were sent before the grave incident. Naomi's lips trembled, I was confused. In the buyer calls, the officer asked. She looked away. In the attempt to access his accounts, he pressed. Naomi finally broke down crying. I was scared, she said, I thought he abandoned me. The officer sighed, ma'am, fear does not excuse fraud. The city watched as Naomi's image changed again. Now she was no longer just a victim. She was a suspect. Marcus should have felt relief. Instead, he felt empty. Late one evening, Marcus returned to the cemetery alone. The grave was sealed properly now, clean, silent. He stood there for a long time. I died to learn the truth, he said quietly, and now I don't know how to live with it. A soft voice answered behind him. You live by accepting it. Marcus turned. It was Mama Ruth. She smiled gently. Sometimes God shows us people's hearts in painful ways. Marcus nodded slowly. As he walked away, he did not know that Naomi, watching events turn against her, was preparing her final move. And this one would not be about money. It would be about destroying Marcus completely. The storm was far from over. Naomi sat alone in the small apartment she had moved into after leaving the house. The walls were bare. The air felt heavy. For the first time since the cemetery incident, she was no longer surrounded by cameras, lawyers, or people pretending to care. She was alone with her thoughts. And her thoughts were dangerous. Everything had slipped from her hands faster than she expected. The sympathy, the control, the careful image she had built. Marcus had not only survived death, he had survived her lies. Worse still, people were starting to see her clearly. Naomi stared at her phone, scrolling through messages filled with judgment and insults. Some called her heartless, others called her greedy. A few threatened her. She threw the phone onto the bed in frustration. They don't understand, she whispered. None of them do. In her mind, she was still the one wronged. Marcus had deceived her first. He had chosen lies over trust. He had chosen to fake death instead of fighting for the marriage. And now she would make him pay for that choice. Across town, Marcus was trying to rebuild some sense of order. His lawyer had advised him to stay calm and let the evidence speak. His sister Denise checked on him daily, making sure he ate and slept. But Marcus was not at peace. Every night he replayed the moment at the grave. Naomi's face, the smile, the ring in her hand, it haunted him more than the idea of death ever had. He had learned the truth, yes. But truth came with scars. One afternoon, Marcus received a call from an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Cole," a woman said gently, "my name is Carla. I work with a private mediation group. Your wife reached out to us." Marcus frowned. "For what?" "She says she wants to settle things peacefully," Carla replied. "She claims she's tired of fighting." Marcus hesitated. Denise, sitting nearby, shook her head sharply. "No. I just want to talk," Marcus said quietly. "If nothing else, I want closure." Against his sister's advice, Marcus agreed to meet. They chose a public place, a quiet cafe during the early afternoon. Cameras were unlikely, the atmosphere was neutral. When Naomi walked in, Marcus barely recognized her. She looked smaller somehow, tired, her confidence was replaced with something fragile. She wore no makeup, her eyes were red. Marcus stood politely. "Marcus," she said softly. "Naomi," he replied. They sat across from each other in silence for a moment. "I never wanted things to go this far," Naomi said finally. Marcus studied her face carefully. "Then why did you let them?" She swallowed. "I panicked, everything fell apart so fast." "You dug up my grave," Marcus said calmly. "That wasn't panic, that was choice." Naomi flinched. "I made mistakes." "Mistakes are accidents," Marcus replied. "That was planning." Her eyes filled with tears. "You planned first." Marcus exhaled slowly. "Yes, and I've accepted the wrong in that, but two wrongs don't become truth." She reached across the table, then stopped herself. "I did love you," she said. Marcus shook his head gently. "Love doesn't show up with a shovel." The words hung between them. For a brief moment, Naomi's mask slipped. Anger flashed across her face, sharp and raw. "You think you're better than me now," she snapped, "because you exposed me." Marcus leaned back. "No, I think we both lost." Her expression shifted again quickly. "Then let's end it." "How?" Marcus asked. She lowered her voice. "Withdraw the charges, I'll drop the accusations, we walk away." Marcus stared at her. "You still think this is a negotiation?" Naomi's jaw tightened. "I'm trying to survive." "So was I," Marcus replied, "and I didn't destroy someone to do it." He stood up. "This is over, Naomi." Her eyes followed him as he walked away, cold and calculating. That night Naomi made her decision. If she could not win through sympathy, she would win through chaos. The next morning, Marcus woke up to a nightmare. Police officers were at his door. He was arrested. The charge was serious. Attempted murder. According to Naomi's statement, Marcus had tried to poison her months earlier during an argument. She claimed she had been sick afterward but was too afraid to report it at the time. Now, she said, everything made sense: his manipulation, his fake death, his control. Marcus sat in the holding room, stunned. "This is a lie," he said to his lawyer, "a complete lie." The lawyer nodded grimly. "I believe you, but this is serious, we need proof." News spread like wildfire. Man who faked his death accused of attempted murder. Public opinion twisted again. Some who had defended Marcus now hesitated. If he could fake his death, people said, what else could he do? Marcus was released on bail, but his name was dragged through the dirt once more. Denise confronted Naomi later that day outside the courthouse. "You're destroying him," Denise said. Naomi smiled thinly. "He destroyed me first." "You need help," Denise replied. Naomi leaned closer. "No, I need victory." As Naomi walked away, Denise realized something chilling. This was no longer about money. This was about revenge. And Naomi was willing to burn everything, including herself, to make sure Marcus never recovered. Marcus, sitting alone that night, felt the weight of it all pressing down on him. He had faked death to find love. Instead, he had found war. And the worst battle was still ahead. The courtroom was packed. Marcus sat quietly beside his lawyer, his hands folded, his face calm on the surface but tight underneath. Across the room, Naomi sat with her own legal team, her posture fragile, her head slightly bowed, looking every bit like a woman broken by fear. Appearances mattered here. And Naomi knew it. The judge entered and the room fell silent. The charge was read aloud: attempted murder. Marcus felt the words land like stones. The prosecutor stood and painted a picture meant to frighten everyone listening. He spoke of manipulation, control, deception. He reminded the court that Marcus had faked his own death, calling it proof of an unstable and dangerous mind. If a man can stage his death, the prosecutor said, what else is he capable of? Marcus kept his eyes forward. Then Naomi took the stand. Her voice trembled as she spoke. She described an argument months earlier. She claimed Marcus had brought her a drink afterward. She said she fell violently ill later that night. She said she believed it was poisoning, but fear kept her silent. I was afraid, Naomi said softly. He always made me feel small, powerless. Some people in the courtroom nodded. Marcus felt something twist in his chest, not fear this time, but disbelief. When it was his turn to speak, Marcus stood slowly. I never poisoned my wife, he said clearly. I never harmed her. The worst thing I did was fake my death to test trust, and I have admitted that mistake openly. The judge listened carefully. Then Marcus's lawyer stood. Your Honor, he said, we ask the court to consider evidence that directly contradicts this accusation. The room stirred. He presented medical records. Naomi had indeed been ill, but hospital tests from that time showed food poisoning from contaminated takeout. No toxins, no foul play. Then came phone records. On the same night Naomi claimed Marcus poisoned her, she had texted a friend complaining about bad food from a roadside restaurant. Gasps echoed softly. Naomi's lawyer shifted uneasily. Next came witness statements. A housekeeper testified that Marcus had not been home the night Naomi claimed the poisoning happened. He had been away on business with hotel receipts to prove it. The judge leaned forward. Naomi's face drained of color. When the judge dismissed the attempted murder charge due to lack of evidence, the room erupted in murmurs. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. He was free. But Naomi was not finished. Outside the courthouse, cameras surrounded them. Naomi broke down in tears, clinging to her lawyer, shouting that the system had failed her. I am still afraid, she cried. This man terrifies me. Marcus walked past without looking at her. That night, something unexpected happened. Marcus received a call from a number he did not recognize. Mr. Cole, a calm male voice said, this is Detective Harris. We need to speak with you about your wife. Marcus's heart tightened. What about her? We've uncovered something, the detective said, something you should know. They met the next morning. The detective laid out files on the table. Naomi had been in contact with another man long before Marcus's staged death. Not a lover, but a fixer. Someone experienced in false accusations, financial traps, and legal manipulation. She was planning, the detective said, not reacting. Marcus stared at the photos, the messages, the timelines. She was preparing to destroy you, the detective continued, whether you faked your death or not. The realization hit Marcus like cold water. This was bigger than he thought. The grave incident had only exposed what was already inside her. The detective leaned back. There's enough here to open a case against her for fraud, obstruction, and false reporting. Marcus felt no triumph. Only sadness. Do it, he said quietly. I want this to end. Naomi was arrested 3 days later. This time, there were no tears for the cameras. As she was led away in handcuffs, she saw Marcus standing across the street. Their eyes met. For a brief second, something like regret flickered in her gaze. Then it vanished. The trial moved quickly after that. Evidence stacked high. Planning, lies, intent. The court found Naomi guilty of fraud and false accusation. She was sentenced to prison. The judge's final words echoed through the room. Greed, when mixed with deception, destroys not only others but the one who carries it. Marcus walked out of the courthouse a free man. But freedom felt heavy. Weeks later, Marcus returned once more to the cemetery. He stood before the grave that once held his name. I died here, he said softly, and I was reborn knowing the truth. He took a deep breath and turned away. The past was buried. But the lesson would follow him forever. Life slowly returned to normal for Marcus, but normal no longer meant what it once did. The city moved on quickly. New scandals replaced old ones. Naomi's name faded from daily conversation, mentioned only in whispers or as a lesson people used to warn others. Marcus resumed control of his businesses, but he stayed away from the spotlight. Wealth no longer excited him. Attention made him uneasy. He changed. Marcus sold the house he once shared with Naomi. Too many memories lived in those walls. He moved into a smaller place, quiet and simple, where no one knew his name or his story. For the first time in years, he began to live slowly. Every morning he woke up early, he walked, he thought, he prayed. But peace did not come easily. At night, Marcus often dreamed of the grave, not Naomi digging, not the ring, but the coffin itself. Closed, silent, heavy, in those dreams he was inside it, fully aware, unable to speak. He woke up many nights drenched in sweat. Denise noticed. "You survived," she told him one afternoon as they sat together, "but surviving is not the same as healing." Marcus nodded. "I know." She studied him carefully. "You're carrying guilt." "I faked my death," Marcus said. "I hurt people, not just Naomi, others who cared. I played with fear." Denise sighed. "And you paid for it." Marcus looked down, but so did she. That was the part Marcus struggled with the most. Naomi was in prison. He did not celebrate it, he did not smile about it, he did not feel victory. He felt responsibility. One afternoon, Marcus received a letter. The return address stopped his breath. It was from Naomi. He stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. The handwriting was shaky. "Marcus, I don't know why I'm writing this, maybe because silence is louder here than any noise outside. I was angry, I was afraid, I was greedy. I can admit that now, but I was also hurt. When you chose to fake your death, something broke inside me. I didn't know how to handle it. I am not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just needed you to know that I see things clearer now. Naomi." Marcus folded the letter slowly. He felt many things at once: sadness, anger, relief, and something close to closure. But he did not reply. Some doors were better left closed. Months passed. Marcus started something new. He created a foundation to support widows and widowers, people who lost partners suddenly and struggled financially and emotionally. He did it quietly, no interviews, no announcements. It was his way of giving meaning to what he had done. One day, while visiting a community center funded by the foundation, Marcus met a young boy who asked him a simple question. "Mister, are you scared of death?" Marcus paused. He thought of the coffin, the grave, the lie. "Yes," he answered honestly, "but I'm more scared of living wrongly." The boy smiled and ran off. That night, Marcus stood on his balcony watching the city lights. He realized something important. The test he had created for Naomi had also tested him. It showed him how far fear could push a person. It showed him how easily love could turn into suspicion. It showed him that truth, once forced, could destroy instead of heal. Marcus whispered into the night, "Never again." But life was not done teaching him lessons. One afternoon, Marcus was informed that Naomi had requested early parole based on good behavior. The news unsettled him more than he expected. Not because he feared her, but because he feared reopening wounds. Marcus knew one thing clearly now. If Naomi returned to the world, he would not fight her. He would not chase justice again. He would walk away. Because peace was no longer something he was willing to gamble. As the sun set that evening, Marcus felt a strange calm. The past no longer controlled him. But the final chapter of this story was still waiting to be written. And it would come in a way Marcus never expected. The day Naomi was released on parole arrived quietly. No cameras waited outside the prison gates, no crowd gathered. The world had moved on. Naomi stepped out carrying a small bag, thinner than before, her face older, her eyes sharper in a different way. Prison had taken much from her, but it had also stripped away illusions. She did not go looking for Marcus. Not immediately. For weeks, Naomi stayed with a distant cousin in another city. She worked small jobs. She kept her head down. For the first time in her life, money was not chasing her, and she was not chasing it either. But some things never fully rest. One afternoon, Naomi stood in a grocery store, counting coins carefully before paying. Ahead of her, a man paid for an elderly woman's groceries without hesitation. His voice was calm. familiar. Naomi froze. She did not need to turn around to know. Marcus. He looked different, simpler, older, calmer. The weight he once carried in his eyes was lighter now, though not gone. Naomi watched him walk away, helping the elderly woman to her car. That was not the man she remembered. She followed him outside. Marcus, she said softly. He stopped. Slowly he turned. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. I didn't know you were out, Marcus said finally. I didn't know you shopped here, Naomi replied. An awkward silence stretched between them. I won't take much of your time, Naomi said quickly. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, not the kind of sorry that fixes anything, just the kind that admits I was wrong. Marcus studied her face carefully. He saw no schemes there, no hunger, just weariness. I believe you, he said. Her eyes widened slightly. You do. Yes, Marcus replied, but belief doesn't mean return. Naomi nodded slowly. I know. She hesitated, then added, you were wrong too. Marcus did not argue. I know that as well. Another pause. Naomi took a step back. I won't contact you again. I don't want money. I don't want forgiveness. I just wanted peace. Marcus nodded. So do I. She turned and walked away. And for the first time, Marcus did not feel anger, fear, or regret watching her leave. Only closure. That evening, Marcus visited the cemetery one last time. The grave no longer carried his name. It was just earth now. Grass had begun to grow. He stood quietly and spoke softly. I learned the truth, he said, and I paid the price, but I also learned something else. He looked at the sky. Love that must be tested is already broken. Marcus walked away without looking back. Months later, Marcus married again, not to a woman who admired his ring but to one who never asked about his wealth. Someone who loved his silence as much as his presence. Someone who knew his story and accepted it without judgment. Marcus never wore the diamond ring again. He donated it. Letting go was his final victory. And so the story ended where it began, with a grave. But this time nothing was buried there except greed, lies, and a painful lesson learned too late.